mentioned you were both classical players at first. And how was that transition to learning jazz from having a classical technique? Because it's something that I'm struggling with a lot.
Good question.
Actually, it's not a quick thing. It's a long process.
Really long.
But I'm really coming. I don't know for you, but I'm really coming from classical world, and my parents are both classical musicians. I grew up in that, and in Switzerland there was no jazz violin player really. So I discovered by coincidence Grappelli at the age of 20 years old, watching a documentary about Yehudi Menuhin, and he was playing with them together, and I saw that like, but what's that? What's that strange exotic way of playing violin and improvisation? Wow! And then I didn't know anything about jazz. I was thinking I didn't like jazz, but then I spoke with the contrabass player of the conservatory of jazz, and he told me, you want to learn jazz? Okay. He offered me another album, but listen, Grappelli also without Yehudi Menuhin. He offered me a CD, and he told me, okay, you could listen this musician, and more I discovered, but I didn't know anything. So then, and what he told me is just begin to listen, months, years, listen.
Last year there was also a lot of classical musicians, and I could feel. I can absolutely relate the pain coming from classical music to jazz, because it's so new. So for me it was that. It's so new that so I just finished my classical studies, and I was kind of a little, you know that you have a level, so you can of pride of yourself a little bit, and then going to jazz and not knowing anything.
It's so frustrating. I know that also.
It was really painful for me.
For me too.
And
but I was also doing a concerto of Sibelius, I don't know, in my classical studies, and then you have to just do it, and you can do it
for 1 year.
And 1 year note, and you can do it. It's horrible, but it's it's not a question of instrument, it's just a musical language you have to learn from zero, and it's not easy.
So for me, what helped me going through that pain was, okay, I'm in pain, I'm really struggling because I practiced so many years and really seriously, and then suddenly I don't know anything anymore. And so I just told myself, okay, you are huge, because I was a huge fan of Didier. I listened a lot of his album Tribute to Grappelli, and I told myself, okay, this is your dream. You're actually studying with the guy you love the most, and I thought, okay, you have to trust that guy.
Yeah.
Trust. I don't know if it's helping you, but here also with Tim, who's such an inspiration, trust. Maybe that would be a word. I don't know if it's...
Trust and accept, it takes a lot of time.
Yes.
But you cannot integrate these tools we give you in 1 day, in 1 hour.
Yes.
Because sometimes,
absolutely. Sometimes this is what I feel. Like, okay, I remember this student at the time of Didier. Once he asked Didier, okay, but now, just between us, what is the key? What is the key of jazz? So,
there's no miracle, but it's also something that maybe it comes a little bit from classical world, that the illusion, jazz is, you have it or you don't have it. No, it's not like that. It's just a question of practice, and it's so much practice than classical.
This is the key.
So much practice also.
Practice and listening.
And
getting inspired.
But what I find very nice with practicing in jazz is all the stuff. It's so much stuff to practice than classical, but then the stuff you practice, you can use it for every tune.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you practice a classical Then now I was playing 20 years ago the concertos, but now I'm not able to, you know. But if you learn a stuff, I don't know, a lick, you know, in swing, then you can apply it on every tune, and you can jam with people without scores and have fun with that. And that's, for me, that's a treasure. You know? I really like that in jazz. What's difficult is so much stuff like to practice like classical, but you have already done all that in classical, so it really needs courage, bravery, courage.
The same word.
To you really have to want it if you want to start another time from zero to study all that. But it's time, it's patience, time, like classical. Exactly the same. If you can do it for classical, you also can do it for jazz, but you just have to wait some.
Also, I have a tip. You can think, if you feel that pain, you know, from classical to switching from classical to jazz, think that. So I had this kind of revelation after, long time after that pain. I thought, oh, but when you are starting from zero, okay, it's painful, but the improvement is huge. Because also you have the technique. So think about that. Think that you're actually right now improving very much, but it's painful. It has a price.
Classical is so painful that if you have the courage to practice a lot of classical, you still can find but it takes time, patience, and more time.
It was for me also really painful, you know, practicing so many years classical music and then being in the same class with people that barely can know where to put the fingers, but swings already, and it sounds good. And I'm like, what? This is not fair. and this is really painful also. But we when we study classical, we have this background and just think that it's just a support.
But sometimes it's not easy after so much years of classical also to change the habits. Sometimes somebody that's more like without so much years of have some habits from the classical is more it's more easy to integrate the things.
Yes,
sometimes. But then with the classical you have a huge background. Sure, then one time you have understood the basics and you have to really study the base. Then after that it helps totally to go very faster to the point. I was lucky because in Switzerland there was Pierre Blanchard, a French violin player, very good, who was teaching in Lausanne. I was living in Fribourg, but in Lausanne once a month, and so I went to take classes with him, and he actually taught me the bass very good. I took with him lessons like 4 years, and then I could arrive in the school of Didier Lockwood already ready with jazz, because there were a lot of violin players coming in Didier school with just classical knowledge and feeling a little bit lost, because
that was my case.
Yes, because then the other instruments were all already jazz musicians. The other students, very good jazz pianists, very good bass players and drums, and speaking the same language. And violin player often arrive there they don't have the language. There are group lessons and they are lost. And I was very lucky to not feel a little lost, a little décalage. I don't know how to say that, but not so much than other. My method on ghost notes is very inspired by Pierre Blanchard. He was also writing the 8 notes with the ghost notes and doing these kind of exercise like we did all in the lessons. You know? So that, and he has also a whole method like that. But with my method, I spent still more time on this stuff, because then in the school of Didier Lockwood, there was the rhythm lesson with André Charlier, and I took everything from this rhythm lesson and I tried it to apply it with the system, and then Didier was also really in this direction, so it was really nice. Yeah. But Didier was very, very also instinctively, I don't know for you, but he didn't really told us which notes to play which chord.
It was about hearing, listening, and playing what you hear inside.
Yeah. But Pierre told me exactly which note you can play and which chord, why this sound good and this not, and I had that, and then to have the rhythm experience and also musical experience of Didier, and he made me enter in his thing of telling a story, using the rhythm, using the feel. I remember in some lessons he made us not sing, the singing, but it's coming from there too, my thing to sing and play together, but he made us make some root in crier, screaming in the same time of playing, like he was doing. To really feel this thing, this inner dance I tried to talk about, but and finally sometime also I sang in the lesson, and he told me, you have to continue that because now instead of I guess you can also sing. Yes, sure.